This was supposed to be the weekend, the critical weekend, where an agreement had to be reached between Greece and its creditors. And the reason is we're running out of time. I mean, everyone keeps saying that, but now it's become true. Everyone you talk to says we need to get a deal by Thursday when Eurozone finance ministers are meeting in order that everything can be completed in time for the end of the month when the bailout runs out. And once the bailout runs out, there's no more money. You'd have to negotiate a new bailout. So in order to provide enough lead time, a deal had to be reached this weekend. Well, it didn't happen. And not only didn't happen, it broke it down with recriminations on all sides. Sunday was the critical meeting. I happened to be waiting outside the meeting. The Greek negotiators walked in shortly after 6 p.m. on Sunday, went up there and walked out about 45 minutes later with nothing. And talking to officials who were there, the conversation was very direct and very blunt. The commission official running the meeting basically said, is there any difference between this document you are now sending me and previous documents? The Greek side said no, and the commission said we have nothing to talk about then. So it really is sort of bad blood and a bad result. What happens next is anyone's guess. A couple things have to happen this week that we're keeping our eye on. First of all, the European Central Bank has a conference call on Wednesday, as they do every Wednesday, to review the needs of Greek banks. Right now, Greek banks are surviving only through emergency funding by the central banks, and the ECB is going to review that. I suspect they're not going to cut it off just yet. But another thing they have to decide is, what are the conditions for this emergency funding? Because these are loans. They have to get loans from the central bank for the euro system, and in order to get a loan, you need collateral. And the collateral thus far has been largely Greek bonds held by the Greek banks. Well, these Greek bonds now are worth a whole lot less than they were just a week ago. So does the ECB put haircuts on these Greek bonds, which means Greek banks are going to struggle even more to get funding? It's a lot of nervousness over that meeting on Wednesday. And then Thursday is the big Eurogroup. I mean, this is the meeting where all 19 Eurozone finance ministers are going to come together. This month it's in Luxembourg. They had hoped there would be a deal in place before this meeting, so they can actually hammer it out and agree it at the Thursday Eurogroup. But there is no deal. There is no deal for the bailout monitors to approve, so they're going to have to basically negotiate there in the room. And if past is prologue on this, those negotiations in that room at Eurogroups go very, very badly. All we have to do is remember 2 years ago where Cyprus ran into a very similar situation. You had a government that for about a year and a half had refused to negotiate. You had an ECB that was deciding that it could no longer fund Cypriot banks. And basically you had the ECB tell the Cypriot president, you either take this or we destroy your banking system, because they were going to cut off emergency funding. That could happen on Thursday. The ECB doesn't want to do that, but it's coming down to this point where there is no more time left. And if there's not a deal reached on Thursday, it could be the end. Now, look, we still have to the end of the month for agreement to be done, so Thursday may not be the ultimate last-minute deadline, but if it's not Thursday, it's very shortly thereafter, because there needs to be time to get the Bundestag called back from recess to Berlin to vote on a new program, to vote on potentially an extension into July. We have an IMF loan repayment due on the 30th of June, so Greece could default as soon as 2 weeks from now. So time is running out, and many people believe time is already up, and there may not be enough time left to strike a Greek deal.